This morning, USDA released two reports that had an effect on corn and soybean and wheat markets, prospective plantings and grain stocks. And Frayne Olson is our guest. Let's talk about some of the surprises here. Let's look at the numbers, and corn in terms of acres planted is the one that everyone was looking at, and it's a bit on the high end at 95.9 million acres, up 4% from last year. That means soybeans comes in just under 74 million, and spring wheat acres are down 3%. So those numbers alone, before we get to the good part, for corn at least, those numbers alone, surprising to you?
Yes, they were a bit surprising, and the corn number, everybody's expecting a pretty big corn number. Most of the week we had seen some softening of corn prices with the expectation we're going to get closer to that 95 number. And of course, the number we had this morning was actually outside of the trade range, which is again a bit negative for the new crop pricing. So that was the biggest surprise. Again, on the soybean side, we were expecting a little bit lower on soybeans. Again, this number came out to be below the trade expectations. So not only we're looking at the numbers, the trends we were looking for, but the trend was much wider than we had expected.
So those numbers for soybeans helped. What helped corn was stocks, and they're down 8% from the last measurement a year ago. That's a big boon for corn, and does that help to ensure that the acres estimate is going to hold out?
In one respect, yes, and in another respect, no. So let's talk about what the trade was expecting versus the numbers we got. The stocks report came out for all of the major commodities, corn, soybeans, and wheat, came out very close to what the trade was expecting. Now the difference is the trade was a bit more aggressive in usage for all the major commodities than the last USDA estimates out of the WSDA report, supply-demand estimates. So the trade was expecting a little bit more aggressive use, and basically their numbers were confirmed, which should be supportive, especially for old crop prices. And I guess one of the things as we move forward, we need to be thinking a little bit about the separation between old crop and new crop pricing.
Right. One of the things that we talked about before we went on the air is the way that these numbers are calculated, and it seems that no matter when the reports come out, there is a little hostility towards the USDA. Now, in this report, in these two reports, there's something good for everyone. But what's the thing to keep in mind when we talk about prospective plantings and grain stocks?
And that's a very important point, that these are survey-based reports. When we talk about the WSDA or the supply-demand estimates, those are forecasts that are put together by the Economic Research Service, which is one division within USDA. The reports we had today were out of NASS, or National Ag Statistics Service, which is a little bit different branch, and it's survey-based information. So what they're doing is surveying farmers, they're surveying industry, and they're reporting the numbers that actually come back in those surveys. So, we've got to be a bit careful. I know USDA takes a lot of shots over time, but this is one where farmers themselves are the ones that are reporting this, and they're summarizing the information for us.
NASS says the corn and soybean acres total would be the largest in history. Corn alone would be the largest since 1937, before World War II, if it lives up to 95.9. Is this something that holds out for the next 5 years in terms of how many acres are going in the ground?
That's really the wild card as we move forward in time, because if you think about trendline yields and the fact that every year we tend to get a little bit better yields per acre, the question is, do we really need all of these acres as we move forward in time? In this case, in today's conditions, we do need those acres because our stocks are so tight. The question again as we move forward, if we have a really big corn year this year, we will have the capacity to not only meet demand, but also to rebuild some of our stock base, which means then moving into 2013, we don't have to have these big 94, 95 million acre numbers for corn.
What are you going to see here in the next few weeks in terms of marketings? Is it something where everyone rushes to it, or you sit tight and wait for a month or two?
Well, that's going to be the wild card. The first number we needed for plantings or estimates of total production is the planted report. And the question as we move forward in time is what adjustments are going to take place. Has the information we got today and shifting in relative prices going to pull some of those corn acres back into soybeans or not? I suspect we will. My recommendation, my suggestion to farmers is, if you're looking at trying to price some new crop soybeans, I think we're going to have some opportunities right now. If we're looking at new crop corn, we're going to have to watch the weather very, very closely, because we still have to have the yields and the yield potential as we move forward. So I think there will be some opportunities as we move into the weather and the season, the growing season this year, to pick up some higher corn prices.